would you assess your progress in terms of developing autonomous shipping until 2025, making it commercially viable?
For example, in the 1C ecosystem, the companies, each company is bringing actually a lot of products which actually are supporting that journey. One example is for example, the auto-docking solution which Wärtsilä brought, which actually enables peer-to-peer, I would say, autonomous operations because you can connect without human intervention in the peer or for the key side, and then you can also sail with the autopilot in between. So that's an example which actually enables kind of a point-to-point autonomous operations already. So I think that from that point of view, the companies are well going to that side.
So can we meet this deadline until 2025 to have everything in place, to have it ready for commercialization?
I think that it's going to be a tough target because it's not only as a kind of even though we have it as a target as a kind of a 1C, I think there's still a lot, in the industry which has to happen in order that to be in place. But having said that one, I think one important point is that the technology companies involved, for example, in 1C, they are working towards enabling these things. Then whether the shipping companies want to implement the systems by then, that's a different story. It's always a commercial story, and also for them how actually the systems do link to their operations.
Would you say that you're going too fast? That the technology companies are going too fast when compared to the regulatory side of things?
Technology company point of view, you could even say that you go too slow.
Okay.
but I think that we need to take also the kind of reality check from that point of view. Or not necessarily a reality check. You need to think about what you bring into market so that the market is able to adapt and they take actually that into use. That's why I think the kind of incremental steps are required so that you do bring small products which enable certain things, and when you pull more of these kind of small products together, you create a bigger system which then supports that one. And that also kind of helps a little bit the regulatory side that you don't need to do a kind of a giant leap. You can take baby steps and then look at how things do work.
Okay, so what would you say are the main challenges for companies to make this a reality for smart shipping, for autonomous ships, and at a later stage unmanned vessels? Is it the regulatory side? Is it the human element?
I think it's a combination of many things. Obviously, the regulatory side, which actually then relates for the safety, which is the most important factor in this case. The other thing is probably that how also the ships are being built. Then there is always builder, there is owner, there are designers, there are different makers. So it's not that you go just in shop and you buy one ship branded with something. That's not the case how it works in the capex oriented world. I think that's one of the things. The other thing, or probably the most important thing, what I've been always saying also that when people have been asking me on autonomous ships or even unmanned vessels, that I think that always links to a bigger change what is happening actually in the whole value chain. By bringing completely autonomous or unmanned vessel into operations of today doesn't necessarily make sense. There has to be something happening also actually on the shore side, how things are, or how the logistics and transportation is being arranged, and then also from the other side then that how things, and then the vessel is in between. That's still it has a means in practice to deliver cargo or transport passengers. And it has to be part of that bigger picture.
Yeah. Would you say that this autonomous shipping can only be applied to these short sea routes, or can we imagine giant container ships also being using the technology as much in the navigation, having in mind how many accidents, collisions are blamed on the human factor, and can it really improve this side of things?
I think probably the first and and clear improvements, what you can see is really on the navigation side. And then on the navigation side, it doesn't matter actually whether you go for deep sea operations or whether you are in the short sea operations. You can bring an optimization on the navigation, which actually could enable, for example, this kind of better efficiency in the industry. We have also, for example, as a Wärtsilä, we have investigated that there is a 30 billion possibilities for efficiencies only in optimizing on the port arrivals. And obviously, when you kind of put that context into there, you start seeing that actually there is money also on the other side, which then will enable this kind of smart navigation solutions coming in. And then when you combine actually more, let's say, sensors, near distance radars, for example, into that one, connect that information into ECDIS, then you obviously improve also the safety there. So long story short, I think that will happen actually faster on the navigation side than we believe.
Okay, so one final question is this human element and liability issue. For example, should such an accident occur or a failure or something like that, who should be the blame? Is it the programmer who made the software, or where does the liability fall?
I think the liability will fall at least for foreseeable future, so that how the rules and regulations are set it. So the officer in command is still responsible. I think that will not disappear that fast, and I think that's what we need to apply. But as obviously as a technology providers, we need to make sure that the systems are reliable, what we have. But that should not necessarily, at this point of time, at least take away the responsibility of the crew. Right?
So just a quick follow-up. You mentioned standardization being a huge issue in this segment. How do you standardize so many software, so many applications, and so many companies? What's the way forward?
I think the standardization refers more on the interoperability of the different systems. I'm not sure if it makes sense to start standardizing how do you program things. It's more on how the interoperability of the different systems work. How do different systems connect to each other? I think that's an area which requires definitely the standardization.
So what would you say is the situation there in terms of compatibility of different systems?
I think there are no standards at the moment. That's why we need to work on that area as a system, once the ecosystem.